VERGE, a choreographic exploration of overload. My research up to this point has really been studying ways in which we connect with each other and with the environment around us. It has always questioned experience and conditions of being to better understand why we produce movement, how it is produced, and how we may continue to develop new movement. After studying physical gesture and psychological gesture, I became fascinated with how much the mind affects the body. What we perceive plays a key part in body agency, which is essential to choreography. Both perception and body agency has led me to this concept of overload. The common definition of overload is when a being, object, or space is loaded with too great a burden. From a kinesthetic study standpoint, it refers to varying amounts of load or resistance that are caused by changes in volume, intensity, levels, frequency, and time. This investigation is about exploring the concept of overload not only on and within the body, but also the space in which that body inhabits. The exploration process focuses not only on the aspects that are physical of overload, but also on the emotional aspects that accompany that physical action. The central focus and beginning question is, how do we unload a loaded body? I think Bartley's quote describes the exploration best, in which overload is being caused when too much energy is concentrated in a specific location, or when we are not releasing as much energy as we are taking on. The solution is therefore to guide the excess energy to flow away from the area of concern and to ultimately balance the energetic flow within and through the entire body. The key concepts of the investigation are body awareness, which is attending to the body and understanding its function and purpose for action; mind-body dualism, the philosophy that the mind and body are separately functioning entities; body agency, the ability and authority to direct one's own actions; control, the power to direct behavior; choice, the act of decision-making; external observation, looking from the outside in; and design principles of visual and performance art. The work investigated had the following research objectives. 1. Uncover movement that emphasizes bodily awareness and a heightened sense of somatic versus autonomic physical and psychological actions. 2. Develop movement that emphasizes bodily agency and choice-making skills in order to aid dancers in developing their own sense of purpose and intent through choreographic means. 3. Develop movement that emphasizes mind-body dualism or mind-body duality, in that the mind and body are separate entities but also function interactively. 4. Structure a performance space or environment utilizing the basic principles of design to create an organized flow of information between the physical action to what is being perceived by the observers. And 5. Devise a performance space or environment that creates a sense of heightened awareness between the observer and what is happening within the given space, while also allowing the observer to have the option of fully immersing themselves in the action of the performance as a mindful observer. Along with research objectives, the following choreographic and artistic intents were followed. 1. To investigate the phenomenon of overload as it relates to the human body through somatic exploration and movement development. And 2. To investigate the structure and energy of a space in making it accessible to the conscious observer through the basic elements of design used in visual design, performance art, and architectural designs. The first task was a reflective writing task in which the dancers were asked to write down a word, short phrase, or collection of words of things that overloaded them. This helped to establish an individualized approach to the work while also creating a starting point for movement work to begin. It gave them a cognitive realization of what might be overloading them as they had to think about it before beginning movement. The second task was a meditation, which involved the improvisational and sensory awareness process. The task was deemed a meditation and mediation to reference how meditation was being used as a form of intervention to resolve the problem of overload. It served as a deconstruction of the self based off of Sandra Freile's work in somatics. During the meditation, dancers followed cueing that prompted visual imagery of energy flow within the body. This served as the platform and springboard from which to start the process and exploration of body awareness. In building upon the meditation of Task 2, Task 3 then took place as an improvisational activity where dancers were led through a series of silent directions, which were printed on cards that were placed around the room. The words on the cards consisted of diffuse, retain, sustain, transfer, to give, to receive, to take, to need, to want, to be wanted, to accept, and so on. The focus of the exercise was for the dancers to move the collection of energy or sense of overload around and within the body, and in some cases within the space. This brought into realization the mind-body duality for the dancers as they had to go through the cognitive process and physical process at the same time. In Task 4, informal improvisations were facilitated, emphasizing Shin somatics with a focus on performance improvement. The improvisations were completed in the following order: being with what is, which was an exploration of the body in the now and the present; suspending expectations, which was about leaving behind what is expected of us, just doing in the moment, and leaving behind preconceived notions before movement takes place; taking it on and taking it in, which is taking in the energies of the space and putting them on the body, letting external factors take over; and diffusing, letting energy diffuse throughout the body and into the space, a sense of release. These explorations considered body awareness, body agency, choice making, and control through the use of different prompts. Task 5 was the last set of improvisational movement tasks completed. Within this task, there were 3 stages that took place, each building upon the directions of the previous stage. Within the task, dancers participated in contact improvisation that explored the struggles of controlling and being controlled. In exploring these concepts, the dancers also had to explore their use of choice. Through tactile manipulation, they explored body awareness and response to energy stimulus. The final task of the project was holding open rehearsals. Before the final performance, peers, educators, and other observers were invited to watch technical run-throughs of the work. Peer rehearsals were held within the physical performance space that the final performance would take place in. We allowed observers to walk in and out of the space as they pleased to create a sense of informality. Although this was allowed, many observers stayed to watch the full work in order to give their feedback. Peers then provided feedback with included information on what audience members felt as a result of watching the work, how they felt in relationship to the dancers and to the space, commentary on the design of the space, their role as a participant, and also on their perception of what the work might be about. This was conducted in efforts to gain a better understanding of the role observers would be playing through external participation. After completing all of the lab tasks, I began structuring the choreography and devising the environment through visual imagery. I used the basic elements of design: balance, contrast, emphasis, movement, pattern, rhythm, and unity to direct the energy of bodies, the relationships of bodies in space, and within the space itself to create a flow and avoid the collection of energy or overload from building. This exploration served as not only the starting point, but as a springboard to gather greater understanding of the body and its relationship to movement, our relationship to each other, and our relationship to space. Moving ahead, I'm going to look at investigations of shin somatics, which I've already previously started looking at, energy states, Anna Halprin's RSVP cycles, and Peggy Hackney's principles of effective movement and body integration research. The work moving forward is to still work in overcoming the challenge in order to move freely and efficiently in employing choreography as a vehicle to understand overload on the body and within the body. The key text and resources used for this investigation are The Reflective Practitioner, How Professionals Think in Action by Donald A. Schoen, Moving Consciously, Somatic Transformations Through Dance, Yoga, and Touch by Sandra Frele, Between Us, Audiences Affect and the In-Between by Joanne Wally and Lee Miller, The Emancipated Spectator by Jacques Rancière, Foundations of Design by Jeff Davis.